Did you know that most people don't build wealth and make money because they choose what's easily available to them rather than looking for better opportunities? One of my heroes in life, Charlie Munger, he talked about this in his book, Poor Charlie's Almanack, in the talk, Psychology of Human Misjudgment. He calls it the availability misweighing tendency. It's a very fancy name, but basically it means that we tend to choose what's easily available to us rather than looking for much better opportunities and alternatives. For example, so many people who are well educated, they stay in simpler jobs for a long time, maybe 20, 30 years, just because it's easily available and safe for them, when they actually could have gone out to search for better opportunities that would have paid them more money, given them more respect, and given them a better quality life. But just because they have this job available that they have worked in before, they choose to stay in that job. So it's not a rational decision, but thanks to this tendency, they stick with this decision. So Charlie Munger, he writes about the example in a song. I think the quote is, "If I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near." So he says that the singer or the songwriter in this case, he makes an example of how this tendency works. That when the girlfriend or the wife is away, then the person falls in love with someone who is easily available, who is there, near. So there are plenty of ways how this works in our life. For example, if your family has a lot of crap food in the fridge, for example, it will be much more likely that you also will eat crap food. If there's lots of things with sugar, ice cream and stuff in the fridge, you will probably also eating that because it's easily available in the house. Or children who grow up in areas where there's lots of gang activity, they are much more likely to end up as a member of this gang than if they lived in a better neighborhood, because we tend to choose what's available. Another mistake could be someone who chooses to date or to marry someone that is not such a high quality person, when they could have instead dated and created a family with a much better quality person that would have enabled them to have a high quality life, who are nicer to them and who do good for society, for example. And why is this one important to learn? Well, because we want to have a high quality life, and we want that our money grows in the best way possible. We want to have the best quality relationships we can have, and we want to live a happy, abundant life. So then this becomes very important, because if we only choose from a small variety of options that are easily available to us, maybe there are much, much better options available if we would look a little bit more. So this would encourage us to go and talk with people who are very, very skilled in areas, especially when we're young, to go to seek out people who are really talented and have really developed themselves in certain areas. Talk with them, because then we're exposing ourselves to different options. We see what's possible. Let's say we are in our 20s, for example. I know many people who watch these videos are in their 20s. So then it could make sense to go out to talk with business owners and hang around business owners to see, is this thing with having a business and being an entrepreneur anything that I would like to do? If we start hanging around business owners and talk with them, then we see how it is living that life. And then we can hang out with people who have jobs, maybe in that same area, but who work in highly skilled jobs, and then we can talk with them and see what kind of life they live, and then we kind of get two great options in our mind, and we can then choose. Some people might think that entrepreneurship, that's amazing, because then if I stick with this and become really good at this, it will enable me to have much more capital that I can use and to make investments in this area and build my own small empire. But for someone who prioritizes safety much more, maybe then the job would be a better option for them. So then we can see what suits us and what kind of people we like being with and what we resonate and so on. So another thing we can do is we can have lots of healthy, good things available to us in our house or in our apartment. So let's say that we think we spend too much time on watching Netflix or on our phone or something that is very common common problems. Then we could make sure to have high quality books laying around, like I have back here. We could make sure to have them around in the apartment, because then it will be easier for us to pick up a book when we're laying down resting, for example. I do this when if I take a nap in the afternoon, for example. I have a book that I'm reading at the same time. So before I take the nap or fall asleep, I read a few pages out of this book. And then I do that instead of being on my phone. So then I spend time doing something productive, developing in an area I want to develop in, and have done something good for myself, an investment in my future self. You could also make sure to have, when you go shop food, you can make sure to only buy healthy things and things that are really good for you. So, and to not have a lot of crap food laying around the house, because then it will be easier for you to eat healthy. One trick I used to do as a musician was, if I wanted to learn something new on the guitar, for example, I used to place the guitar in the middle of the apartment. And so every time I crossed, if I was doing something in the house and I crossed the guitar, I picked it up and I practiced that little piece. And then I put it down and I did what I was going to do. And just by making the instrument available to me in my environment, I practiced much more and many more times than if I had the guitar stored in its case below my bed, for example. So you could do the same thing if it's something that you're trying to learn, if you're learning a new language, if you're learning accounting, if you're interested in business or investing, or something to do with sales, or any other field that you want to study. Make sure to have books around the house, high quality books about these subjects. You could make flashcards if you're trying to learn, for example, accounting or new difficult words of accounting or business. Put them on flashcards, put a bunch of them in a place in your apartment where you walk a lot of times throughout the day. And every time you cross this space, you take them up and you practice them a little bit. So once in a while, it can be good in life to really look at what you're doing and what you're aiming for and what you're trying to accomplish, and ask yourself, is this the best available option for me? Or if I looked a little bit further, would there be other alternatives, for example? Someone said that regarding business or building wealth, that it's not so much how fast you row, it's more what kind of boat you're sitting in. So are you sitting in the right boat? Are you doing the right thing? Have you chosen the right option for you? Or are there better available that you could switch to? If you find that there are better alternatives, maybe you should go talk with people who do those things. Maybe you should start to put out 1 day per week to study that subject, or every day. And I think doing this could have a radical change on one's life. Because so many people stick with the same job, for example, for their entire life. And then when they get old, they actually wished that they had done something else. They wished that they had started their own business, that they had been more adventurous, that they had taken more risks, rather than just staying safe and sticking with what they're doing. Because also, if we couple this with the habit tendency that we tend to stick on the path that we're on, then we have kind of two tendencies that's working against us. So if we have chosen one alternative that's easily available to us, but that is not the best, then we tend to stick with that choice for a very long time, because the mind thinks it's kind of risky to change course. But it would actually be much more rational in many times to actually change course if we find that there's a better alternative. Another way to break out of this tendency could be to talk with very smart people and ask them if they think that you should be changing anything. What are their perspective on your life? And make sure that those are people that you really trust and that you look up to, and that you want to have the result of that person. That's important, so that they're working in your favor and not just say something because they're jealous of you or something. So make sure that it is a person that you look up to and that you want the results from, so that it's not a person who are envious of you or something and don't want you to succeed. But if you have a person like that and they point out some things to you, they maybe point out that this type of business would be smarter, or this way of delivering your service would be smarter, or this would be better things to be involved in, then it could be worth looking at those things rather than just sticking with what you're doing. Great as always, hanging out, studying Charlie Munger together, developing a greater life. Next week we will look at use it or lose it tendency. That is also a very powerful one, so make sure to stay around for that. Have a great day. It was awesome hanging out with you.